So we're here at Sheffield Hallam University today to launch our new research paper into creative waste and dimensioning. As part of the Curating Composer series, we've convened a really broad cohort of guests, from creators to funders to promoters and scene makers. So we're really looking forward to exploring the two concepts in detail, alongside some presentations of dimensioned works in the 360-degree Igloo space. The work we're going to be presenting today was first developed on our artist development programme. So Melanie Wilson is a New Voices alumna, and Vicky Clarke was on In Motion in 2024. And they both developed these incredibly conceptually rich projects that were able to get to a certain point on the programme over 18 months. And then through further commissioning, we were able to expand them into this 360 presentation. That's a really good example of dimensioning, where we're looking at work in progress, we're looking at R&D, and then we're looking at new platforms, new modes, and new ways of presenting those work. And this really exemplifies that today.
Today I shared the first episode from Dreaming Species. This episode is called The Animals Are Leaving, inspired from a quote or a body of thought by John Berger from the book Why Look at Animals. And in this project I'm kind of skewing the question a bit to ask, why listen to animals? I really love this question of creative waste because it feels a bit off-putting initially to think of the concept of waste when it comes to creativity. When you're kind of making or thinking or iterating, there's always a process that you go on of trying things out and then putting them to the side and sort of landing on things that kind of motivate you more. Now that I've got kind of more familiar with the idea of creative waste, I feel like it really touches on something quite important in this drive to needing to produce and to needing to be new all the time. But the dimensioning aspect of it is very exciting, because for me there's this concept of like visioning or vision in dimensioning, these kind of multiple possibilities for what work might be. This idea of extending or returning to ideas, I think it's something quite natural that happens with a lot of artistic endeavour. As you're evolving, you're growing and you're living, and things are happening to you outside of art making. And as you're kind of returning to these ideas, you're feeling how you've shifted, how you've aged, how the world has changed around you. But I think what the reassuring thing for me is that I always find that I somehow manage to land back where my heart was initially. The loving intention at the core of the work somehow manages to sustain, even if the shapes around it alter.
The animals are leaving us, marooned in our minds.
The work I showed today was from my studio album project Bloom, which I first released back in 2017 and has gone through a variety of different iterations, notably from a vinyl record and a live show through to a live stream during the lockdown periods, and then now the 360 audiovisual performance. So creative waste and dimensioning really runs through all the work that I do. Partly it's because I'm trying to juggle different roles, notably leading sound and music, but then also being an artist in that capacity means I can't do quite so much as maybe I was doing prior to this role. So it's a very pragmatic approach of working longer with ideas that I keep mining and turning into dimensioning into different types of performance projects. So it really goes to the core of my creative practice. When I first presented Bloom, It was as a live show where there was a prism around the piano that was projection mapped, and then during lockdown it became an audio-visual live stream, which we had myself in a studio in Canterbury at the Daphne Aura Music Building at Canterbury Christchurch University, and then my visual collaborator Damien Hale at Treatment Studio in London. And that show was broadcast with real-time audio-visual processing. And then now with the 360 performance, we've taken some of that footage and embedded it in the project, but also expanded it into a wraparound performance.
So the work I'm sharing today is called Aura Machine. It's a piece that explores music concrete and machine learning. It was first made in 2020, thinking about the materiality of sonic AI, what happens to sound material in this new neural network turn. The inspiration for the piece came from my interest in new technologies. Back in sort of 2020, sonic AI, machine learning models were quite new. So I wanted to sort of take my practice and use it within that context to see what happened to the sound of materials within neural networks. My piece Aura Machine connects with the idea of creative waste in that it started off as a research project. So the final output that you see today actually took a lot of iterations to get to this stage. So it actually started out as a question, what happens to the material of sound in latent space? And then that became an online piece, a live performance, real sculpture, and now a 360 show that you can see. I think as artists we have certain aesthetics, different interests that we continually pursue, and that can be through different artworks or the same artwork kind of reconfigured in different ways. The sounds that you hear in this piece today were actually created about 5 years ago when this technology was very early, very lo-fi and timbre. I think artistically it helps you to sort of hone what your kind of key themes and ideas are. So for me it's developed to the stage where I'm thinking more about hidden spaces and thinking more about political systems, DIY technologies and how we move forward with these at the moment.
The ancients supposed the ether of space to be of a compound nature.
So it's been a really brilliant end to the day with a huge amount of discussion and involvement from everyone involved. We're going to write up a lot of the themes arising, looking at what the sector can do, what we can do as an organisation, what creatives can do, because it's a way of working that may be new to some as well. It's not going to speak to everyone, but it may speak to many in our community. I feel like the ideas have stood up against a huge amount of interrogation, and it's been a really rewarding day to both experience the 360 works and have such a wide range of conversation.